Welcome back to the Cookie Chat. We are just two basic bakers letting loose and keeping it real over here on YouTube. I am Chelsea with Rolling in the Dough AZ.
Hey y'all, I'm Melissa with Missy P Sweets.
All right, you guys, first business. If you are over here and you are not subscribed, we would love you to join us weekly because I mean, it's summer and we all need that little taste of normalcy with adults.
Oh
with
yeah,
these
man. Have
kids
us on
running.
in the background. Just like stick the headphones in. Those kids are fine.
We'll try and keep it appropriate
Yeah.
without kids listening.
I mean, this is event session today, so we'll see.
It is. Speaking of summer, how is your summer?
Hot here in Texas. Not comparative. So if you guys don't know, Chelsea's in Arizona and I'm in Texas. And we send each other like screenshots of our weather forecast for the week with all of our triple digits.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
But Texas never beats Arizona. But.
Gosh, it's just crazy because it started so early this season. Like I posted on my stories the other day saying, check in on your Arizona friends. Like we're not well.
I saw that.
And I'm going to start asking you that now. Are you well? That's what I should start asking. And so many people are
Schitt's Creek.
So many people responded and were like, we have more time. Like it doesn't get this hot until like start of July.
Oh.
So we have no idea because if we continue at this, it's going to be like 120 next week.
That's interesting because I feel like in Texas, it's kind of the opposite. Like we had a really late spring and we had a ton of rain, but I feel like Arizona, you guys get the dry heat. Texas, with us, it's more of like the humid heat, which I would take dry heat over humid heat any day. But yeah, we didn't hit I feel like normally by beginning of June, we've hit triple digits. And yeah, I mean, so I don't know. I agree. I love summertime, but I dread the heat.
Summer is our equivalency of winter. Like when people stay indoors in winter and they're like, I get seasonal depression, that is ours because dry heat. Somebody asked the other day, like, I just don't understand when y'all say dry heat. I'm like, literally open your oven and that like whoosh.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like when we open our back door or our front door.
Yeah.
I made a mistake one time.
Showers are pointless. Like the moment you take a shower and step outside, you're sweating again. No, I'm with you. Like I would be fine staying inside and like, let's check it out from afar. No, my Miami grown husband, he like lives for this. I can't even mention fall in summer because he's like, how dare you skip summer? How dare you skip summer? So no, we're outside all the time.
I know you got the nice tan and I'm over here like avoiding sun. That's why I am the way I am.
Oh man.
Okay, well, when you're staying inside, I feel like everybody's living on social media, which is.
Yeah. I mean, are we ever not? Let's be honest.
It's a black hole.
Although, I will say, I feel like I've seen a lot of people saying that they're taking breaks. And I think, honestly, summer is a great time to be doing that. If you are going on vacation, or I feel like generally it is a little bit more of a slower business-centric social media time. I feel like a lot of people will share their vacations and stuff.
Yeah.
But just from what I've noticed, I feel like it's a little bit slower. Because I do know a lot of like cookiers and stuff take summers off or just aren't as busy because the kiddos are home or something like that. But yeah, I've seen a lot of people saying that they're taking breaks or they're just coming back from a break. Yes. And that's kind of part of the reason that we really wanted to cover this topic today, because we're not necessarily here to bring you guys tips and tricks on how to do all the social media things. We've done that in past episodes. We can share it up here. To
one of the cards.
Episodes. Yeah. Today, we really wanted to just kind of chat with you guys and vent about all social media things. Frustrations with the algorithm, imposter syndrome, how to even manage it. What should you be on even? Like, is one better than the other? So let's vent. Let's chat. So Chelsea,
got my coffee ready to go.
I know. Let's go. So I feel like we should have tea. Like,
I know, right?
Okay, so Chelsea, why don't you start off with what social media platforms do you run for your business? I know
Yeah.
Facebook is your favorite.
I don't even know if you can buy. My mom used to say, sidebar here. Oh my gosh, mom used to be like, if you roll your eyes one more time, like they're gonna get stuck in the back of your head. Like that was always her line. So
I feel
always
like
I'm
that's
like,
such a Southern woman thing to say.
so yes, I started with Facebook. That was my Facebook and Instagram at the time because they weren't connected.
And that was what year again?
Oh goodness gracious. I don't know, 6 years ago. What are we,
Okay.
2012? Was that? No, it couldn't have been then because my
I
kids
don't do
weren't
quick
born.
math.
Yeah, I'm like, no, my kids weren't born then. So it was probably like 15, 16. Yeah, 16.
Okay.
We're in 2. Yep.
Yep.
Welcome to, we're not math wizards here.
No.
Anyways, I started with
Excel for
Facebook
life.
and Instagram and Pinterest. I did start all 3 of those at
Okay.
the same time. Facebook was my, like, I would say my number 1 for a long period of time.
Mhm.
It was.
And at that time, so if we take ourselves back to 2016,
Mhm.
what was kind of the world of Facebook? What was the world of Instagram and those things in
Yeah.
that time?
Instagram, oh my gosh, Instagram I feel like has changed the most. Facebook has pretty much stayed the same because they had their business suite that you could like kind of use. And now it's, I think the Meta is what they're calling it.
And were a lot of your friends on Facebook? Were most people on Facebook? Were they active?
Yeah, most people were. That was like in
Mhm.
between the two, was you pretty much had like our generation had Instagram, but a lot of
Yeah.
people had Facebook. Like you knew that's what you could count on.
Right.
And so I really heavily focused on Facebook, and that's where I took all of my orders. I didn't have a website. I don't mess with
Oh.
Google. And so I was like, it was in my DMs, which was really nice because at the time Facebook separated it all out for you. And I heavily focused there. And Instagram was more just the photo. Like there wasn't a lot of interaction. There was no stories. There was no highlights.
Oh yeah, there definitely were no stories. That's true.
No, none at all. It was just literally
And
chronological.
Instagram and Facebook didn't sync at that time.
Nope.
So you had to individually like go in and post all of them. Okay.
Yes. So you had to know how to do both of them. At the time, I think I was using like a third party so I could schedule my posts because you couldn't schedule your posts either.
Okay.
So I was trying to make sure that both would post at the same time. It was again when the feed in Instagram was chronological. So it was so important to know what time your people were on. And it was before Instagram gave insights. So again, you had to use like a third party app to try and figure it all out.
It was basically, it truly was like the epitome of like a community bulletin board.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yes. So it was like not uncommon to post. And I think that's where if you go back, a lot of people are like, oh, you have to post multiple times a day. It's because when it was chronological, if you wanted to hit like your morning group, your lunchtime crowd, and then like night, so you had to stagger it. It just took a lot of strategic, like paying attention to what was going on and then what was taking off. Because even hashtags weren't large then.
And
like
which
that
one
was
took off faster for you?
Facebook for me.
Yeah.
Facebook definitely took off as far as it was just easier to correspond with people because you could do the multiple pictures. You could do the longer posts. For Instagram at one time, like limited caption post.
Yeah.
You couldn't post the carousel pictures yet.
Yeah.
So
and also at that time, Facebook made it really easy to where you can share like your business page to your personal page, and you could invite all of your friends to like your business page, like through Facebook. So it made it really easy to like at least get your friends and family and community noticing your stuff and understanding what you were doing. With Instagram, like they didn't even have stories or anything. So it's very much like not as like personal driven. I feel like that's very much more like, here's visual pretty things out there,
Yeah, there was no like real personality behind the brand. I feel like back in the original like Instagram days.
I remember Instagram was really big for photographers. Like that, I feel like anybody who was very much in an aesthetic business, so photographers or artists but like travelers, like bloggers who traveled. I know there were always like pictures like that.
Yes.
But yeah, that was kind of I feel like that was the state of Instagram and that was the state of Facebook. Okay, so Pinterest, what were you doing with Pinterest?
Well, real quick, hopping back over to Facebook, also the nice thing with Facebook in the beginning, and it still does it, which is great. And if you have not watched our episode with Chelsea from Pink Lemon, you could schedule events or like calendar reminders. So it was really easy to then put it on someone's notification for like sales or opening of your books or just anything like that. It was just a instant notification that went to their phone.
Yeah.
So that was amazing because Instagram didn't have that. They didn't have the countdown, any of it. So I really feel like business was more focused over on Facebook.
Yeah.
And then Pinterest was a way for me because my phone kept getting boggled down with so many pictures.
Right.
And I was like, again, at the time, trying to like time your photos.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I can't just post all of these at one time. So I thought in the very beginning, because I lived on Pinterest way before business, and I did baby boards. So I did the chalkboards when I was pregnant with each of my kids, and I met so many people crazy through Pinterest.
Really?
Yes, it was insane.
Wow.
A few of them have gone on to do like amazing things in like the mommy blogger world, which is hilarious.
That.
Yeah, so it was a lot of like the chalkboard countdowns and then making my own baby food. So I kind of knew Pinterest.
Right.
And I was like, okay, I'm going to make a separate one so then I can house all my work there. And it was just so much easier when I was getting started asking like, well, what can you do? What is this? Because it was just an easy way to say, go to this folder. Here's my baby shower cookies. And it just kept growing from there. Yeah. Where at one point Pinterest allowed you to then link that to your website.
Yeah.
Which I didn't have. So I was like, at the moment you couldn't link it to your social media, and then they connected with the platforms. So then I could go back and edit my photos and send, like if you click the photo in Pinterest, it sent it to my Instagram page.
Oh, okay.
So then it started to drive traffic.
You tend to send people to your Instagram
Is Pinterest?
Page? From Pinterest?
I send them to my Instagram page because that's where I do a lot of my like announcements. And if you follow along, versus I feel like sending them to my website, I don't live off my website unless it's a custom order and a sale. So I'm like, to me, it's kind of like a dead stop.
Right.
Versus Instagram.
And they can get to your website like eventually through Instagram. So
they just come like a part of the community when I send them to the Instagram page. For sure. So those are the three that I focused on, and kind of, I still have all three of those today, which looking back, I am so freaking thankful that I started my Pinterest when I did. Yeah. Because now I go back and I'm like,
do you know how many followers you have over there?
I can look actually because my phone's right here.
Yeah, look it up.
I can tell you. And it's not as hard as people think it is to use. I mean, now they're again advancing where you can put stories.
Yeah.
All right. So I have 235 followers over there. And then let's see what it says on my.
And you have a business account? Because I know they have, Pinterest business, so you can get all the analytics and everything.
Yes, you can. Yep. Yeah. So it'll tell you like your monthly views, how often people are seeing things. It will tell you how many impressions saved your last 30 days, all that good stuff.
You do not save anything to your page aside from your cookies.
Right. Yeah. I don't do.
So you're not creating boards of other people's stuff. Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What about you?
So those are Chelsea's socials. So I started my business in October of 2018. Mm-hmm. And I started with Instagram. And if you scroll way, way back on my Instagram, it actually used to be called Missy P Eats because before I started Missy P Sweets, I was a stay-at-home mom. We had our youngest daughter at December of 2018. And wait, when did I say the business started? 2018?
2018. So it's 2019. Or was it reversed?
No, I'm sorry. Oh my goodness. I said this the other day. Okay, so realistically, Missy P Sweets is also one of my children. No, our youngest was born in 2016, New Year's Eve of 2016. So, I mean, basically like 2017. Okay, so she was a year old. And I had decided in 2018, I was finally going to start working through all these cookbooks that I have like acquired over the time. And I was like, well, I want to kind of catalog what I'm doing. And I'm going to pick a couple of recipes every week and bake with the girls a little bit and make notes in my cookbooks. And so I was like, well, I guess the easiest way to do that is just, throw up an Instagram account. And so it was called Missy P Eats. And so that's where it started with Instagram there. And I wasn't looking to like grow it into anything or whatever. But then I started dabbling with sugar cookies. And so then it just morphed into only sugar cookies and cakes. And I just changed it into Missy P Sweets. So yes, I started with Instagram in October of 2018. And as soon as Missy P Sweet started, I also started Facebook page. So in October, and those were the only two that I had going on. I also did have MailChimp pretty early on. So my email list pretty early on, I started that. And I didn't do Pinterest. So I still don't, I don't even know if I have one. But no, I never did Pinterest. And because I was part-time, I kind of just like, I was getting orders quickly just from family and friends and then word of mouth. So I wasn't feeling pressure of like, okay, I need to do more to get more orders because I had such limited time. I could only take a certain amount. So for me, for a long time, I mean, Facebook and Instagram were perfectly fine. I just recently did open TikTok, and literally all I was doing is throwing my reels that I was doing on Instagram over on TikTok. And truly, the reason that I started TikTok was because I was like, okay, so much is changing with Instagram and growth. And for me personally, also, I changed my business. So I was no longer just looking for cookie customers. At this point, it's a different marketing strategy and growth strategy for me because I am now selling, or will be, and everything to cookiers, which that market is way different, and it's saturated to a certain amount versus like my neighborhood and my community with cookie, like I'm the person that you go to versus in this new market for me, it's a whole different thing. So I have to broaden my things. And I started getting nervous of, well, if Instagram's changing and Facebook isn't really a place for me that I've grown like from that perspective. Facebook for me is all just my cookie customers. That is my cookie customers. Those are people who are local to me. And that's what that's always been. And I really appreciate that that keeps it that way. I don't post reels over there. I just sync it to my Instagram and only like share pictures over there. I use it to do my pop-ups to market those and create events. And that's perfect for that. But Instagram, and this is where Chelsea and I think vary in how we use the platforms a little bit. Instagram for me pretty quickly morphed into me like sharing content to other cookiers versus my customers. For me, my bread and butter of communicating with my customers was MailChimp, was my email list. And I feel like Chelsea, we were just talking about this before this episode. You said like what, 90% of your sales or something like that come from Instagram?
Yeah, my website, when I did invest in it, it comes with, it tells me like where the traffic, like the SEO traffic is coming from, and it will tell me keywords people are searching for. So if I add those to like the post, it's absolutely amazing. Before you ask, it is not Google Forms, and I did have to pay for it. So yeah, it's not something I can share a link with you guys. But
if you haven't yet, Google Forms is a free way to do it. And we'll link that episode. That was just what, last week's episode?
Yes, it was.
Over here.
But yeah, no, it will tell me what social media site like my sales are coming from, or if it's coming from Google or however. And my past like Christmas, Valentine's, Easter, like those big sales, 90% were all through Instagram.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that and we've talked about this before when we've talked about social media, is consistency in how you communicate is key. I think when you're first starting out, if you are using Instagram, then yeah, you're talking to your customers. You don't typically start out Instagram in a business like this thinking like, okay, I'm only going to grow to other cookiers or bakers. Like, you're using it to get sales.
yeah.
And you're selling your cookies. So yeah, you are.
Well, and
But
I feel like when both you and I started, Instagram
it
influencing was not a thing.
It
So it
wasn't, and
didn't.
I know it's a different ballgame, I think, for us. Like, it was definitely growth on Facebook for me as far as getting orders and word of mouth. Honestly, and Facebook reviews were huge. I was like begging people,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like, please leave a review, please leave a review. Instagram doesn't have that,
Nope.
like Instagram is very much like for the aesthetic of things. And I don't have Pinterest, but again, like from what you were saying, like I've been looking into Pinterest a ton, because when I go to plan a party, and if you guys have not seen the most recent frat party that we just threw, we love parties. We love dinner parties. We are an entertaining home. I grew up that way, and I use Pinterest for all of that. And I'm kind of kicking myself that I wasn't more active there earlier. And it's definitely something that I'm going to be investing in. Um, and yeah, I think so. So these, again, we'll wrap this up. These are where we have our social channels, but this is easily flowing into, I think, some of like why we diversify, and what we've felt from you guys. We are most active. We spend the majority of our social media time on Instagram. That's kind of where we've grown this particular business. And I think from an influencing side, where Chelsea and I have grown our own businesses. And there's no denying there's a lot of change that has happened, that is happening. And personally, I come from a marketing background. I don't get mad at what they're doing. I understand why they do the things that they do. They are, at the end of the day, a business, and they have to make money. And I get why they're doing the things that they're doing. And they are wanting to help influencers and content creators, and they're trying to get them more money. If you've seen people with blue check marks that have subscribers now, like that's a way to help those people start making money. And you should want to, like, if you're in that platform and you're wanting to grow, that's an amazing thing that they are doing, Now, can it get frustrating that it's now going to take you time and possibly resources to start doing that? Yeah. And if you have no interest in doing that, and now all of a sudden your stuff is not getting engagement and tanking, 100% understand why that is frustrating. I had pictures that used to get, 1,200 views, and you were, I think part of it, at least for me, is you put all this love and you're like, oh my gosh, this is one of the best things, like the best creations that I've done. And you get excited to share it with other people who can appreciate it the way that you do. And because I don't know about you, but I'll get so excited and I'll show Mike a set and he's like, wow, amazing. I'm like, no, this is like really, really cool. He's like, well, but I always think all your stuff is cool.
Oh,
yeah.
I love Mike.
I know, he's biggest cheerleader.
He is.
But and then, yeah, like my posts lately, it's like 2, maybe 300, like, which is still great. It's still out there. Like, at the end of the day, it's still out there, and I'm still proud of the work that I did. And I think that's where I understand it is very frustrating. But I think, like, for me, I had to adjust my mindset to why. Like, why are you posting these things? Why are you in this medium? And what is it that's really important to you and to your business? If it is that you want to grow sales, Instagram is not necessarily the best place to be growing sales for I mean, it could be different now. When I was starting, it was not the primary place to be growing my local community of cookie business customers. For me, it was very much Facebook and word of mouth and doing pop-ups and grassroots stuff. So that's my first little rant of things. Chelsea, thoughts, opinions?
Few things. Melissa and her TikTok, if you're not following over there, TikTok terrifies me. I get sweet messages from people following and they're like, I'm so happy I found you. I was like, oh girl, don't expect anything coming. Like I stay off the talks.
I would just like to know, I have absolutely zero clue what I'm doing over there. None at all. I had one, I got so excited. I posted it and I was like, Mike, it's going viral. There was one that did, I forget how many it had, but it did get me a lot of followers and stuff. And I got so excited. And then I was like, okay, I've got this. No, it's been like zero zilch since.
Oh my gosh.
And it's just, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, people ask me all the time because they're like, oh my gosh, your reels. I'm like, no, I'll stick with reels, but like TikToks, I don't know why.
It's super interesting to see once I started diving into TikTok more. Like for instance, Gardy Goodies, Gardy's, am I saying it right? We'll link, anybody that we mention is linked in the show notes, but she has an enormous TikTok following. Enormous. But you go over to Instagram and like they're not, and like she still has an amazing following on Instagram, but they're not comparable. There are some people on TikTok who have huge followings, and Instagram there's like nada. So
exactly.
It's, it depends on where they like just, I don't know. It's just kind of like where they started and they like found that niche that made sense and worked for them and just like, okay, cool.
Yeah, Mixing Sugar is on TikTok, and I think sometimes when I see her comments, I'm like, this is what on TikTok.
I know.
Bless you, girl. She's like so good at like the snap.
Oh no, she's so funny.
I know. But yeah, and then Facebook is like, to me, sometimes Facebook's overwhelming because you don't know what you're going to get. And I like to keep it positive. I don't like the bantering and the fights. So I'm just like, but going back to what you were talking about with the engagement is I agree with you. I don't know if it's because you and I kind of look at things as a challenge, like, okay, it's a new thing to learn, where some people adapt well when it comes to change and others just change sets them, which is fine. Everybody responds to life differently, and it's finding where that boundary is for you. And if the boundary is this comfort zone that you've already created, that's okay. And like Melissa said, it's just, what are you trying to get out of your business? I will say, if you are trying to just focus on the inner sales, find what your customers like to see. I know to this day, which if you notice in my stories, I'm adding more of them. My customers, I get the biggest response from like flood videos. Not reels of them, just stories of flooding. I always put calming music. I have saved highlights like flood 1, flood 2, because people say, I'll just turn your flood videos on, like the story or the highlight.
It's meditative for people.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm always thinking of that. Like, okay, I know they like to see this. I know they like to see like the bows that I'm creating. So more behind the scenes.
I love to see that from you. You know what gets the best reaction from me? It's like frat parties.
People that I feel like my biggest like story engagements, and this is not grid engagements, these are story engagements, are like cleaning. I get asked so many times for like, can you just like video yourself cleaning and tell us what you're doing? I'm like, I don't think people want to see me clean. But just things in that sense. So if you are focusing on your customer base, find what they like and just hone in on that. It does not, I feel a lot of times, and I'm guilty of it too, is sometimes you end up creating for other cookiers and you're like, but again, like Melissa said, why am I here? I'm here for my customers. I'm here for the community and things in that sense. So that's one. 2, the engagement. Again, story engagement is the easiest for me to see. as far as like how many views, and it just randomly spikes.
It is so random, and there are periods of time that it drives me nuts because it just like it'll tank, and
Melissa
you
and I have
don't
this
know.
conversation.
I mean, I'm like, we're getting more views over on Cookie Chat than Missy P Sweets, but you guys, this is
Thank
what
you guys, by the way, for that.
yeah, I know. But this is what Chelsea and I talk about all the time. You don't know. It's kind of like you don't know what goes on behind closed doors. Like, you don't know. Like, there are times where Chelsea has way more story views than I do, even though I have more followers. And this is
Yep.
what there are a lot of Instagram, like we're right now talking specifically about Instagram, but there are so many really smart, really dedicated, and like this is their field is how to grow social media like Instagram. And I know Brock Johnson, Hey Summer, Pink Sparrow are all ones that I just follow. I don't dive into them too much, but their stories just like they kind of just motivate you. I feel like when I'm in a funk with stuff or I'm just frustrated, they're the first people who are like, is your engagement dropping? It's okay. Here's why. They're releasing new things. Try this, try that. And so those are really wonderful ones to follow. But I saw, oh my gosh, where was I going?
I don't know, but I'll jump in real quick.
Okay, yeah.
Somebody posted a really good story yesterday, and I don't know who it is. So if it was you, thank you. It said like everyone complaining about engagement because they only got 50 likes on a photo. If 50 people came up to you in person and congratulated you and told you how much they loved your thing, you would be overwhelmed. You'd be like, oh my gosh, I just talked to 50 people. This is nonstop. So keeping that in mind, and that's again, I mean, yes, there are days where it could be frustrating, and like I just have a grid on my thing. I'm old school. I still like to keep it chronologically because I like reels so much. I don't want to bore you all with like a reel a day on my grid because I know my customers are there. So it's one of those balancing acts. But like my reels, even when I started doing them in the beginning, it could easily like one reel was so simple in 2 days to hit like 20 to 40,000 views.
Oh yeah.
100,000. I was like, okay, if I got truthfully, going ripping the curtains back, if the first day it was averaging about 10 to 12,000 views, I'm like, okay, this is a good reel.
No,
and
that's
now
nowadays. Oh yeah. It's like success.
yes.
That's
Now
huge.
it's like,
And it's because so many people are doing reels because that's what Instagram is requiring of us. I think that's such a great point. The 50, I love that visual. Like, yeah. I mean, like, I forget when it was when Mike was like, you're almost at 20,000. And I was like, yeah, it's crazy. And still, like, when we talk imposter syndrome, to me, like, that's exciting. And part of this is my personality of just competitive nature. But I'm like, but that's nothing compared to like this person's like almost at 100,000.
You're so funny. I'm over here like when I hit 10,000, I was like, oh my gosh, 10,000 people are watching these.
I know.
Like,
And that's what I feel like outside people help give me such perspective of that. Mike is like, do you understand like how many that is? Like, that's like, I can't remember if he qualified it to like a football stadium or something like that, but he was like, that's how many people. And I was like, oh, okay. But I do remember what I was talking about earlier with the marketing influencers. And I think it was Brock. And again, we'll link these accounts because they really are fantastic to follow. I just feel like they've relieved a lot of pressure for me of like not knowing what to do or how to do it. But he was saying that as far as engagement goes, he was like, you know what, there can be somebody who only has 300 followers, but in actuality, if they are engaging, if those are engaged followers with them, they are going to be, and they talk about it from a monetary standpoint. They're like, they are going to convert to more sales for somebody. If if they're selling a product or something with a sponsor, they're going to convert far more sales than somebody who's got 20,000 followers who is only engaging with like 20 people, you know?
Yeah.
So, and like I was saying, you don't know what's going on behind closed doors. There are, I mean, like I said, Cookie Chat sometimes has far more views than what Missy P Sweets is doing. And obviously like I own both of those. So,
Yeah.
so that's perfectly fine to me. But sometimes it can be frustrating. I understand, like, as you're seeing story views or posts, it can feel defeating and it can feel frustrating. I think it's absolutely fine to take steps back and to
Yeah.
just relieve yourself of pressure with it. And maybe just like go over and like see what TikTok is about, like maybe like try your
I'm
hand
not
at something.
convinced that yet,
I know
but
you're like very
love that
much like,
journey for
no,
you.
I'm not gonna do that. But I do think it is important to diversify a little bit. You
Mhm.
don't have to go gung ho into all of them, but I do think diversifying a bit, because also if you're having a lull with, say, Instagram, and you're having a rough day there, it could be a great day going on over on Facebook
Yep.
or on your sales that you just released, like,
Well, and with that, it's funny because I stopped doing hashtags for a period of time because I was following the
mhm.
social media influencers that were like, hashtag is not
Yeah, it
growing
doesn't
you.
really.
And I want to say this in the sense of it, like Melissa and I, you have both of us here, and we both have totally separate goals when it comes to social media. Like Melissa said, her competitiveness kicks in and she's like, I'm going to reach that number goal. To me, I'm
Mhm.
like, oh, like my number was 10,000 so I could get the dang link. And then
And
they
then before
released it.
they're like,
You guys, the same week I hit 10,000, I was like on a mission. It gave it to everybody. So I was like,
they're
dang
just
it.
like, middle finger, Chelsea, middle finger.
Yes, pretty much. So ever since then, there's like the number to me is there's no drive. Mine
Yeah,
is the engagement. I would much rather engage with people.
yeah.
Um, it's funny. I don't know if I've showed you my DMs. I'll show Tommy when I like have my phone down, and he was like, "What is going on?" I'm like, "I don't know." On one story, sometimes I can get 46 DMs. So
Jeez.
that's where sometimes I just like your guys' things, and I'm not trying to be
Yeah.
mean, but I was like, oh, it's
There's only so much time in
insane.
the day. Yeah.
Right. And so
Yeah.
that's where I would much rather take the engagement on it. And I know
Yeah.
people have asked us, like, how do I get that engagement? You can ask questions if you're kind of stuck in there. You like on your post, your grid post, you can say, hey, like I asked you guys the other day, are you a morning cookier or are you a nighttime cookier? And like
Mhm.
everyone has an opinion on it. Um,
Mhm.
I asked, what are your butter prices? One, because I was genuinely interested in it.
Mhm.
On my stories, I posted what are gas prices because again, I'm genuinely interested in these things.
Yeah.
I love numbers. I love as far as like the analytical side on the back end of things, like
Yeah.
why in Arizona is it this versus those? I'm not
Yeah.
talking numbers on Instagram. I'm talking like the nitty gritty of like the flow of our country.
Mm.
Anyways, things like that though people have opinions and they engage on it. And you're like, and then you start relationships. And that's how I've met
Mhm.
so many people through my DMs. And then those people are always your hype people on your posts. Like
Yes.
they're always commenting, they're always liking. I will also say, go down yours because you like when people comment on your posts, comment on other people's,
I was
follow
just going to
back.
say that too. Like, you got to think about it from, you're going to get as much as you give.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's in any way. It's how much content you put out is how much, like engagement you're going to get, or that's like, how much visibility you're going to get back. But it's the same thing. I mean, if you're, and you've probably seen this, but if you're not seeing the people's stories or content that you love seeing, it's probably because you have to like up your engagement with them for the
Mm-hmm.
algorithm to like funnel that back to you. I have periods of time where I say, okay, for the next 10 minutes, I'm going to just look through people's stories and I'm going to genuinely engage and interact with
Mm-hmm.
whatever stories come across that I want to genuinely react with. What happens when you are engaging with those and those DMs are filling up, DMs are kind of like the gold right now. I saw this the other day again on one of the like marketing influencers. Instagram doesn't necessarily love when they don't want you to leave
Right.
the app. So when you are posting a link, you have to be careful because it in a way kind of dings you a little bit on the algorithm because what you're doing is taking somebody off the app.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so even like when you were saying like you were asking the questions and stuff, try asking a question and don't leave a question box, because what that's going to do is somebody's going to DM you an answer versus
Mhm.
just filling in a box. It's again about like genuine engagement with it, because
Yeah.
then like Chelsea was just saying, you can have a conversation back. And I completely agree of like, I know that we get frustrated that we're not seeing as many photos sometimes. But I mean, just actively interacting with people's content is huge. And go over to the explore page too.
Mhm.
The explore page for me still has a ton of like pictures and stuff on it. And I've found so many new accounts and things from that. I actually love seeing explore page for reels, because I feel like I see reels that aren't necessarily in my industry. And those are really fun to see, I think. It's kind of like when people surf on TikTok. I feel like a lot of times people prefer their personal TikTok page
Their
versus like
cultivated page.
the business one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's just funny stuff and it's fun stuff to
It's
see
so
every
funny
day.
because, like, Tommy's reels are so different than my reels that I
Oh,
see.
yeah.
So we'll sit next to each other and, like, scroll, and I was like, "What is that audio? Send me that audio." He's like, "How are you" like,
Uh-huh.
I did one from Duck Dynasty, and he's like, "How are you gonna incorporate this into Cookie World?" I'm like, "I got you."
Oh, that would be a
Um
fun challenge. Have people send us audios
Oh my
and we'll like
gosh!
figure out how to like, we'll make, oh, guys, we're
I
going
would
to do
love this
this.
is like if I could just do reels all
Oh
day
my gosh, we should
long, I would
totally
do
do a Reels challenge where people have to send us random audio and we will make it work
Yes. Oh
for
my gosh, I
Cookie.
love that. Love that.
Okay, we need to do
But
this
I
on
was
our
saying
stories.
yes, I was saying for the hashtags, you guys, I went back to hashtags because that's what when I first started, that's what I used.
Mhm.
And there's a shortcut you can create on your phone. So like when I type out the word hashtag, it just auto populates all my like set hashtags. So I don't have
Ooh,
to manually type them out every time. And then
that's
I can,
cool.
yeah, like rolling in the dough AZ, custom cookies, royal icing, like the ones that I'm going to put
Yeah.
on every single thing. But then at the end, I can type out exactly that's like what's specific for that set. I went back to using that. And again, it's not about the followers, but all of a sudden, because when I log in the app and how it tells you, it was
Yeah.
like 25 new followers, 45 new followers. I'm like, again, you have to kind of take the
Interesting.
information that everyone gives and take what resonates and leave what doesn't. And
Yeah.
hashtags to me, I'm like, I don't know why I stopped this. I'm not
I
listening to
mean,
people. I'm
and it's
going
not like
back.
it's hurting anything,
Right.
you
Right. It's a
know?
little bit more work, but also if you want to see photos and stuff and you're like, I'm so tired of
Mm,
these, follow hashtags. Go
yeah.
follow Royal
That's
Icing.
true, because anytime I'm looking like for inspiration for a party or
Mhm.
something, like you go to the search and that's
Yep.
you search the hashtags. That's so true.
Yep. And everyone's like, the hashtags are no longer there. I'm like, they are there because again, if I have something like the other day, I had a pickle set.
Mhm.
Never have I ever, put your finger down, had a pickle set. And I was like, oh my gosh, what is even out there? How do people like take
Yeah.
this creatively? There was another set I had that I was like, I've never had this. Like it was just one of those one-offs. And I went to the hashtags.
Mhm.
So I'm like, I follow like birthday hashtags, wedding cookie hashtag, those
Yeah.
generic ones.
And now that you say that, I have been seeing hashtags show up in my feed more,
Hmm.
because I'll be like, ooh, that's really cute. Who did that? And you don't even necessarily see the handle first. You see like the hashtag.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that's true. So
So
let's
I like
hashtag
that.
it up again, huh?
There's just so many ways to make that app work for you. And again,
Mhm.
we're all kind of frustrated in how much time it takes.
Yeah.
Melissa and I have both shared, like, when we hop off of these, I'm going to go film some reels
Yeah.
because my makeup is done
Yeah.
and I'll just hold on to them.
Yeah.
So I think I still have like a million saved.
I know you have some. You should start a TikTok and just put all of your extra reels
I'm like
over
literally
there.
like, you
I
guys,
know.
it's
I'm so proud
like,
of myself when I have like 3 saved. I know.
yeah,
You're insane.
yeah.
Um,
Um,
so another big piece when we posted questions about this on social media, on social media, on Instagram, was kind of what you're saying is the time to make content.
mhm.
So this is interesting too. Like with Chelsea, her reels that do the best are ones showing her beautiful face and her personality.
Thank you.
And people don't want to see my face or my personality. They like to see
That's
me
such a lie. Oh my gosh, Melissa. You have
they
just changed your crowd differently.
they want to see me decorating cookies. So, and I think that that's kind of like, and a lot of people are not comfortable showing their face. Hold on one moment. I have to blow my nose again. Sorry, guys.
I'll add to this. Melissa is so good at tutorials. Like, even when I'm like, how do I do this? I'm going to cruise over to Melissa's page and see if she has a tutorial on it. So I think, again, it's just that kind of like what you have put out there into the world as like what people know you for. And so I will get DMs if I don't post reels, like if I take a break, people are like, is everything okay? Like, I always look forward to like the funniness of your reel because I was like, oh, I can relate to that. But I go and look for Melissa's. You're muted, girl. Unmute yourself.
It's like you got to know your niche, right? So yeah, I mean, I from the get-go I wanted to like share tutorials and stuff, and that's what I wanted to do. I same thing with how people reach out to you. I remember one time I was freaking out that something happened to Liz over at Hochi Cookies because her stories went blank, and she always shares memes, like hilarious memes, and it was blank for like way too long. And I'm like, who has her cell phone number? What happened to her? I was very worried. And finally she came back. She's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I was camping. I was like, Liz, you got to tell me.
It's so fun though, because that's where like I've created so many relationships with my customers that are like, I look forward to your motivational posts on Monday,
yes,
or I look forward to like your end of the week post. Where are they? I'm like,
I know.
And it's weird because you're so used to like talking to a phone, and I'm like, how many people are really seeing this on the other end? But then you forget because the people I follow, I'm like Andy at Cookies is pregnant. I'm like, where is she at in her pregnancy? Where is this baby bump? Like you become invested.
You do. Yes. Oh my gosh,
So
we're morphing into the same person.
Oh my gosh.
It's
Terrifying.
It's happening. Okay, but from if you are curious about like how to find time if like showing tutorials sort of situation, yes, I have a cookie room. I have a dedicated space, and I am very thankful for that. I'm very privileged of that. If you don't have that, it's okay. But if it is something where you are wanting to share content more and from a Reels aspect, there's a couple of ways that are pretty simple to do it. You just have to, I think people get overwhelmed, and I do this to myself. I'll psych myself up in my head. I'm like, okay, I have so many things to do. And then I get freaked out, and then I just make it bigger. And actually, it only took like 5 minutes to do. Like, why I spent more time worrying about it than how long it actually took. One, just take a quick video of your naked cookies before they're done. Before they're done, take a quick little video of it. It's one of those things that you add to your checklist. It's just like we preach over and over. Do it early enough that you have time to take pictures of your cookies. Like, these are the little checklist. Maybe we need to make a new handout for people.
Melissa's wheels are turning.
I know. Just creating work for myself, guys. I'm a pro at that. But let us know if you would like a little checklist of like, okay, I'm about to make a set. Here's what I need to do. Obviously, I need to design. I need to bake my dough. I need to make my colors. I need to take a video of inspiration or a video of your naked cookies before you start. So take your video, and then you could even stop in the middle of the process. Take another quick little video midway through the process. At the end of the process, when you're going to take pictures anyways. And again, if you haven't seen our video from last week, right, of how to take multiple photos in one setting. Oh my gosh, my lipstick went crazy when I blew my nose.
Can't tell.
Anyways, yeah, take a video of it at the end, and then like you can easily clip that into like a cute little reel, and that's all Instagram's wanting. It doesn't have to be the most perfect, beautiful reel in the world. They just want reels.
I'm going to play devil's advocate for those that are like, oh my God, that sounds like so much work. To me, I'm like, I get in the zone and I forget to stop. That's why I forget to film like flooding videos. To me, I'm like, I just listened to a 30-second sound bit. And like my husband was scrolling the other day and it just out of habit, I started saying it. And he's like, how do you know that whole thing? I'm like, oh, because I'm planning on doing that reel this week.
Yeah.
Like just listen to them and memorize them as I'm working. And then I'm like, I would much rather film a 20-second story or funny one and then call it good.
So my only other piece of advice, if you do want to do like a tutorial reel, and if you like say you're just at your kitchen table, that's really fine. Get like a cheap stand thing from Amazon, and whenever you are going to decorate stuff, have it ready, clip it on, and just like have it ready to go. You don't have to set up a whole fancy station or anything like that. Just have it ready to go. And even like, I feel like some of the reels that have been amazing lately are where they're just scraping, like they flooded and
I
they
have
messed
that.
up,
That is
and
one
they're
of my
just scrape
favorite
stuff
ones.
off.
Yeah, I have that reel, and I was like, "This is amazing." And people are like, "Oh, I never thought of that." I'm like,
yeah. So
it's so therapeutic.
Literally, guys, like you can make that your little niche. You know, all you do is you show your pictures of your beautiful cookies, and then the reels that you show are either a flooding, like just a flooding video, or it's just like scraping off. Like,
and then you put it backwards, and then it puts it back on the cookie.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't have to be anything insane. For me, I typically will design a set and I will have an idea in my head of like, okay, that's the cookie that I want to do a tutorial for. So I have a little station set up and I have my camera set up because I will have to do it like in phases a little bit, or I'll maybe want to practice it on another cookie before I do like the video cookie. Yeah. And so anytime that it's the next step of the process, I just go over to my little station that I already have set up and I record that part of it. And I use Movavi to edit videos. It's just an app, but there's so many of those apps out there to do it.
I edit right into the Instagram app.
That's it. Yeah, because but these are like 20-minute long videos.
I know, you're so good. To wrap this up, let's talk about what are your favorite things about the app and what are your least favorite?
Favorite things about the app? I mean,
I think we're focused on Instagram right now. Like Facebook.
Favorite things about the app. I think if you take a step back and think about what it is, it's pretty dang impressive. I mean,
it's free.
It's free and it's impressive. You can make money. Like if literally all you're doing is making money off of reels, you can like make a couple $100 a month, you know, like, but for me, I think the biggest thing for me is the community. I mean, I love from being a stay-at-home mom and being able to feel like I have coworkers, to feel like I have people that I can ask questions about my business, that I can get feedback, that I feel like when I am decorating at night and I share stories and I see people are watching it, or I see their stories and they're decorating, I feel like I'm with people. I mean, for me, like, so stupid to get emotional about this, but it really is like, it's a community. And I think for me, like, as frustrating as it can be sometimes that your own personal goals aren't being met with it, I would just remind you guys that Chelsea and I met
I know.
through Instagram.
I want to add to that real quick. I had to do something for our business, like paperwork, legal stuff last week. And the person I was meeting with was asking like, oh, how did this come about? Like just making small chit chat. And they're like, wait, so you've like never met this person you own a business with? Like, is that smart? I'm like, we're millennials. Like,
this is how things are done, sir.
I would like to inform you that people do this. I'm like, she's not going to steal my money. Like, it's okay. But it was like mind blown to him. He's like, wait, So you just like sent her a message,
I don't
like,
know.
and then you like went into business with this person? Like they were like looking at me like, "Are you sane?" I'm like, yeah.
And you guys, like, yeah, Chelsea and I are, I wouldn't say necessarily only one of a kind. I'm sure this situation happens a lot, but don't dive in with anybody.
Yes.
We're not advising that necessarily. It's
Right.
worked out for us. But yeah, no, like I think for me, like at the end of the day, like that, if if Instagram or social media were to be taken away from me, I think I would feel very lost in my
Mhm.
business at times and closed off. And I'm sure there are multiple times that I probably would have given up on my business,
Mhm.
honestly. Um, so if anything, if you are frustrated with it, just start engaging with people and don't worry about if they're going to engage back. I mean,
No.
use it for what it is, accept it for what it is. It is a business platform at the end of the day, and they are making money. But if you're looking to grow your sales, then just think strategically about how you want to do that and don't get hurt about Instagram maybe not being the place for you to do it. Um, but I don't know. I guess that would be my favorite thing. I don't want to go back into venting. We're talking about favorite things. So, what about you, Chelsea?
Um, to kind of piggyback off of what you were just saying, like I love that the community aspect of it. Um, I love the community obviously with my cookiers, but I do love that from the get-go it has been about my customers
Yeah.
and that I know what's going on in their lives. And it's so strange. Like if you all have been OG around my page for a while, like 2 summers ago, I needed a pool. And I was like on a hunt to find this dang pool at Walmart. And it was like sold out the moment they put him out. It was insane. And one of my customers legit called and was like, I just bought you that pool because I saw one. I was like, oh
Oh.
my gosh, like and they were like, "No, I've been watching. I know how like, hard you're struggling. My
Yep.
husband and I saw it, and we, like, raced up there to get it."
Oh.
During COVID, I had people buying, like, flour and sugar and, like, "Hey, I'll drop it off." I was, like,
Yes.
Venmoing people, and it's so humbling to know that even though there's a struggle, like Melissa said, we will see engagements down or you feel like no one's appreciating your stuff, like and you just kinda
Mhm.
get into your own head. But
Mhm.
having that real life community there
Yeah.
that's, like, cheering you on, like, "We don't wanna see you fail. We got you." Like, they kinda, like, help pick you up.
Yeah.
Um, and, I mean, I'm reliant on them as well as sometimes they're relying on me for their events.
Yeah.
So, it's just been a beautiful, like, mesh and interwoven web of being involved in each other's lives. I don't share my children or, like, a lot of
Mhm.
personal things on social media, so it is me and my personality and things like that. And I mean, there's been times in my life where people are, well, there's more than one time in my life where people are like, you have too much personality for your own good. But to know, like,
I feel like that's jealousy speaking, but
oh, thank you, that there's a platform that it's like appreciated and that I can
yeah.
be me and be genuine and be excited over small things or like love making reels. And like, you all are the best hype people. And you're like,
Yes.
yes, it's amazing. I'm like, thank you. I don't
Yeah.
feel so like alone in
Yeah.
things. So
Yeah.
I will say very much along your same lines as that. And I love that it has the potential to reach. Like I've been exposed to so many things I would have never been exposed
Mm.
to. So there is definitely the beauty in creators coming together and sharing um, just so
Yeah.
many intimate moments within your life or things that you struggle with that you're like, I have to be solo on like pickup anxiety. And it's like,
Uh-huh.
no, me too. I thought this was just me.
Oh, yeah.
So I love it. Yeah, it's definitely something. And I mean, y'all have seen me cry on my own social media. Like when sales come in, it's so odd when the worlds collide and
Yeah.
you're like, all of this was for something.
Yeah.
So I try and just on days that are maybe bad, this is for me. Anytime I'm having a bad day, I try and put out positivity. That'd be like
Mhm.
positive texts or like gratitudes into the world and just
Mhm.
yeah, my sales maybe weren't the best this week, or I had 2 customers cancel, but you know what? At the end of the day, I have this beautiful business that allows me to connect with these people,
Mhm.
and whatever that business might look like in that stage of life, like, I'm just grateful for what I have, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Beautifully
with
put.
that, thank you. That is our social media frustration, because I'm not going to say the other word since we might have children watching for summertime.
Oh, yeah.
But
Mhm.
yes, so we got
I
this.
hope that's helped. At least
Yeah.
you guys not feel alone
Nope, we're right there
because,
with you.
yeah, promise you you're not. Promise you you're not.
I know Miss Melissa over here at like almost 20,000 is feeling the same
It could
things
be
that
better. I'm
we
just
felt
kidding.
at like
I'm
2,000.
so just kidding. I'm so just kidding. Yeah, it's yeah, and one other thing too, like it will forever change.
Mhm.
It's not going to slow down. There will be a new social media craze of some sort that comes up. That's going to be the new thing. And just
MySpace,
remember
bring it back.
too, I know, and just remember too, um, people that are at crazy numbers, uh, not always, but
Mhm.
oftentimes, and Chelsea and I know a lot of them personally. Well, I mean, like
Yeah.
socially, personally. Um, and they flat out admit, like, there's no way if I were starting today that I would be
Mhm.
able to get to this number. Like,
Oh, yeah.
there's just no way because Instagram was a different thing like 10 years ago, you know? And also, there's only so many people that are going to follow this kind of content, too, you
Mhm.
know? So, there are caps and there are peaks and there are valleys. And again, you don't know everybody's story. Just
Yeah.
focus on your story and
Mhm.
what, what makes
You'll
you
find your
happy.
team. Hype
Heck
them because you
yeah.
want them to hype you.
Yeah, man. That's right. We're all in this together. Make, making cookies.
Yes.
All
All right.
right,
Well,
guys.
wrapping this up, we're gonna dude, it feels so long since we've done our outro.
I know.
What is it? There's probably gonna be
Let's just
another.
wing it. We're not even gonna yeah, we're just gonna do it once and see how it goes.
Oh
But
gosh.
guys, if you would like more content from us, we've got some summer merch coming and they're gonna be getting
Mhm.
discounts too. Please, please, please join us over on Patreon. We love, love, love our patrons over there. We do all kinds of fun things. And like I said, additional content, discounts, all those fun things. And like, subscribe. Where are we? Over here?
Ring the
Over here
notification bell.
in the notification bell. Okay. From what I can remember, you start our outro, right?
Yes. Let's see, you guys. I'm usually the one that messes up. All right. I'm Chelsea with Rolling in the Dough AC.
I'm Melissa with Missy P Sweets. May your cakes never be dry.
And your icing be shiny and crater free. I think we got it.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, you guys, real quick, that like when you say it and you think about it, you're like, wait, what did I say? It just
It's
is a
like when
non-thought.
you are icing the same word over and over, and you're like, that's not spelled right anymore, is
Yeah.
it?
All right, you guys have a wonderful day.
Bye,
Bye.
y'all.